Like a mirror you've been avoiding suddenly placed directly in front of your face. And what stares back isn't who you thought you'd be by now. The game changed while you were playing it. The rules you memorized, the path you followed, the promises you made to yourself, they've all aged into something you barely recognize. Your knees hurt when it rains. Your parents repeat themselves. Your kids are growing up faster than you can process. And somewhere between the mortgage payments and the career meetings and the endless responsibilities, you lost track of something essential. Maybe you lost track of yourself. This isn't a midlife crisis speech. This is a reckoning. Because after 40, life stops being patient with you. It stops accepting your excuses. It demands that you finally pay attention to the truths you've been running from since your 20s. You thought you had more time to fix things, to chase dreams, to say what needed saying, to become who you were meant to be. But time moves differently now. It accelerates. And suddenly the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels impossible to close. Except it's not. Not if you listen, not if you're willing to face some uncomfortable truths that most people avoid until it's genuinely too late. What I'm about to share isn't advice from some guru who figured it all out. These are 9 brutal, beautiful lessons carved from real life, the kind that only make sense once you've lived long enough to see the consequences of ignoring them. Each one carries weight. Each one asks something of you that won't be easy. But each one can reshape everything if you let it. Your 40s can be your most powerful decade, or they can be where you surrender to slow decline. The difference isn't luck, it's choice. Daily, deliberate, difficult choice. 40 isn't the end. It's the beginning of wisdom. But only if you're brave enough to accept what wisdom actually costs. Let's begin. Speak this into existence in the comments below. I'm learning from life. Number 1. Your body is speaking. Stop pretending you can't hear it. After 40, your body stops being polite. It stops giving gentle hints. It starts demanding attention with the urgency of a fire alarm. That knee that aches when it rains, that's not just age, it's a conversation you've been avoiding. That exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. That's your body begging you to change something fundamental. For decades, you treated your body like a machine. You pushed it, ignored it, fueled it with whatever was convenient, and expected it to keep running. And maybe it did. Maybe you got away with the late nights, the fast food, the stress that never seemed to end. But 40 is the line in the sand. After this, your body keeps score, and it collects every debt. Taking care of your body after 40 isn't vanity, it's survival. It's the difference between living your 60s with energy and curiosity or living them with regret and limitation. Every choice you make today, what you eat, how you move, whether you rest, is writing the story of your future mobility, your future clarity, your future freedom. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the body is our temporary dwelling, but we must care for it so it doesn't become a prison. Your body isn't separate from your life. It is your life. When it fails, everything else collapses with it. Walk in the morning before the world wakes up. Feel your feet on the ground. Drink water like it's medicine, because it is. Stretch those tight muscles that have been screaming for years. See a doctor not when something breaks, but before it does. Sleep isn't laziness. It's restoration. Food isn't just fuel, it's information you're giving every cell in your body. You have to become obsessed with feeling good, not just looking acceptable. Society will tell you that caring about your health is selfish. That's a lie designed to keep you weak. Your strength serves everyone who depends on you. Your vitality radiates outward. When you're healthy, you're more patient with your kids, more present with your partner, more capable in your work, more generous with strangers. Pay attention to the signals. That persistent headache isn't normal. That weight you can't shake isn't just about willpower. That anxiety that won't quit isn't weakness. Your body is speaking in symptoms because you wouldn't listen to whispers. You get one body, one miraculous, complicated, resilient vessel to carry you through this existence. After 40, you can't trade it in. You can't upgrade. You can only honor it or abuse it. Choose honor. Choose to finally listen. Your body has been waiting to hear this. Give it the words, "I honor my body." Number 2, the people you love won't be here forever. Act accordingly. There's a phone call coming that will break you. You don't know when. You don't know which name will flash on that screen, but it's coming. And after 40, you feel it in your bones. That creeping awareness that the people who shaped you, who raised you, who knew you before you knew yourself, are mortal, fragile, temporary. Your parents are aging in ways you can't unsee anymore. That slowness in their step, that forgetfulness that's no longer charming, the way they repeat stories because their mind is reaching back to hold on to what's slipping away. You see it now. And it terrifies you because you've been busy. You've been building a career, raising kids, managing a life that seemed more urgent than a simple phone call home. You will run out of time with the people you love. Not someday. Not in some distant, abstract future. Soon. Sooner than your heart is ready to accept. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to say what matters. There is no perfect moment. There's only now, with all its messiness and inconvenience. Call your mother on a Tuesday for no reason. Show up at your father's house and just sit with him. Ask your siblings about their lives. Really ask, and then listen like their words are the most important thing in the world, because in this moment, they are. Seneca warned us. We are always complaining that our days are few, yet acting as though there would be no end of them. He understood that we live as if we have infinite time with the people we love, and then we're shocked, devastated, destroyed when we don't. Your friendships matter too. That friend you keep meaning to call them tonight. Not tomorrow. Tonight. That buddy from college you drifted away from. Reach out, rebuild. Because after 40 you realize that true friends, the ones who know your full story, who witnessed your becoming, are rarer than gold. Don't let pride or busyness rob you of connection. And your children, if you have them, they're watching you navigate this stage of life. They're learning from you how to honor relationships, how to show up, how to love imperfectly but consistently. Every moment you choose presence over distraction, every time you put down your phone to really see them, you're teaching them that people matter more than everything else combined. Create rituals of connection. Sunday dinners that are sacred. Monthly coffee dates that never get cancelled. Annual trips with the people who matter. These aren't luxuries. They're lifelines. They're how you build a foundation of shared memory that will hold you when grief comes knocking. And when someone you love dies, because they will, you won't ask yourself if you worked enough hours or answered enough emails. You'll ask if you said, "I love you" enough, if you were there, if they knew, truly knew, that they mattered. Act accordingly, right now, today. Number 3, your career is not your identity, and that's liberating. You spent 20 years climbing, building, proving yourself. Your job title became part of how you introduced yourself, how you measured your worth, how you justified your existence. And somewhere after 40, if you're paying attention, you realize something unsettling. None of it means what you thought it meant. That promotion you killed yourself for, it didn't make you happy. That salary increase, it bought comfort but not contentment. That respect from colleagues, it feels hollow when you're alone at night wondering if this is all there is. Your career is a part of your life, not the totality of it. It's a tool, not a temple. And the moment you confuse the two, you start sacrificing everything that actually matters on the altar of professional ambition. This doesn't mean your work doesn't matter. It does. Your contribution, your craft, your impact, they're significant. But they're not everything. And when you die, your obituary won't list your sales numbers or your perfect attendance record. It'll talk about how you made people feel, what you stood for, who you loved. The liberation of this truth is staggering. When you stop needing your job to validate your existence, you start doing your job better. You stop operating from fear and start operating from purpose. You take risks because failure doesn't threaten your core identity. You speak truth because you're not protecting a fragile ego. You help others rise because their success doesn't diminish yours. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How much time he gains who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks, but only at what he does himself, to make it just and holy." Your worth isn't comparative, it's intrinsic. It exists independent of your job performance. After 40, some of you will face career setbacks, layoffs, rejections, younger people being promoted over you, industries changing and leaving your skills behind. This will either destroy you or liberate you, depending on where you've placed your identity. Build a life that would still have meaning if your job disappeared tomorrow. Develop interests that have nothing to do with your profession. Create relationships based on who you are, not what you do. Pursue mastery in something just because it brings you joy, not because it advances your career. And if you hate your job, if you've been tolerating misery for a paycheck, 40 is your wake-up call. You don't have another 20 years to waste. Figure out what matters, make a plan, take the leap, because security without satisfaction is just a comfortable prison. Your career will end someday. Retirement, health issues, or simple obsolescence will close that chapter. But your life, your real life, the one built on love and purpose and meaning, that continues until your last breath. Invest accordingly. Number 4, forgiveness isn't about them, it's about freeing yourself. You're carrying weight you don't need to carry, resentments from a decade ago, anger toward people who've forgotten the offense, grudges that have calcified into part of your personality. And after 40, you start to feel the cost of all that poison you've been drinking, hoping someone else would suffer. There's someone in your past who hurt you. Maybe they betrayed you. Maybe they lied, cheated, abandoned you when you needed them most. Maybe they were supposed to protect you, and instead they broke you. The wound is real. The pain was legitimate. But here you are, years later, still bleeding from a cut that should have healed. Forgiveness after 40 isn't about being noble or spiritual. It's about survival. It's about recognizing that every moment you spend replaying old wounds is a moment stolen from your present. Every ounce of energy you pour into hatred is energy you could have given to joy, to growth, to the people who actually deserve your attention. Here's what most people misunderstand. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. You don't have to invite toxic people back into your life. You don't have to pretend the harm didn't happen. Forgiveness means you stop letting their actions control your emotional state. You stop giving them free rent in your mind. You reclaim the power they've been holding hostage. Epictetus taught that we suffer not from the events themselves, but from our judgments about them. That person who wronged you 10 years ago, they're living their life. They've moved on. Maybe they feel guilty. Maybe they don't even remember. But you're still in that moment, reliving it, letting it define you. Who's really suffering here? Start with the small forgivenesses. The friend who cancelled plans. The co-worker who took credit for your idea. The family member who said something thoughtless. Practice releasing these minor offenses like you're strengthening a muscle. Feel what it's like to let go, to choose peace over being right. Then move to the harder ones. The parent who wasn't there, the partner who betrayed your trust, the person whose actions altered the trajectory of your life. These require deeper work, maybe therapy, maybe journaling until your hand cramps, maybe screaming in your car where nobody can hear you. Whatever it takes to process the pain without becoming the pain. Sometimes the person you most need to forgive is yourself, for the mistakes you made, for the opportunities you missed, for the version of yourself you wish you'd been but weren't. Self-forgiveness might be the hardest work you'll ever do, and the most necessary. You don't have unlimited time to hold on to this bitterness. Every day you spend trapped in the past is a day you can't fully inhabit the present. Your children need a parent who isn't emotionally chained to old wounds. Your partner needs someone who can love without the armor of past hurts. You need to meet yourself unencumbered, free, light enough to move forward. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. It's saying, what happened was real, it hurt, and now I'm choosing to live beyond it. I'm choosing to reclaim my peace. I'm choosing freedom over victimhood. I'm choosing life over the slow death of resentment. Let it go, not because they deserve it, because you do. Number 5, money won't save you, but financial wisdom will change everything. You're not 20 anymore, living paycheck to paycheck and trusting that somehow it'll all work out. After 40, the financial chickens come home to roost. Every careless decision, every ignored retirement account, every "I'll deal with it later" attitude, they all show up demanding payment. You're probably behind on where you should be financially. Most people are. And the panic that sets in when you calculate how many working years you have left versus what you've saved, that panic is trying to tell you something important. But here's the other side of that coin. It's not too late. 40 isn't the end of your earning years. It's potentially the beginning of your wisest ones. If you wake up now, if you get serious, if you stop lying to yourself about money. Money isn't everything, but financial stress destroys everything. It kills marriages, steals sleep, creates health problems, and forces you to make choices from a place of desperation rather than wisdom. Financial peace isn't about being rich. It's about having enough security that money stops controlling your decisions. The ancient Stoics weren't against wealth. They were against being enslaved by the pursuit of it. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, wrote that, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor." The goal isn't endless accumulation. It's sufficiency. It's breathing room. It's the freedom to say